G'day guys, Big Biff's Life of Mayhem. So today's story, we're going to talk about the time when I ran from the police and I jumped into Pentridge Prison. So a section of Pentridge Prison. Check it out. Rightio. So I was at the train station earlier that day and I missed my last train from Melbourne back to Benalla, the town where I grew up. And so I'm ringing around to try and find, and my best mate was actually on his way back from Melbourne to Benalla in his car. And I was on bail at the time for an incident that happened out the front of a pub involving some pool balls and maybe a sock or two. It's definitely debatable, but I definitely did jail time over it. Anyway, I was on bail before the jail time. And so I had a curfew, and the curfew was I had to be at my place of residence from 9 p.m. at night till 9 a.m. in the morning. And that were my hour, like 12 hours. I was allowed out for 12 hours a day. And that was my bail conditions. And I had to sign in every second day. So, yeah, I was on bail conditions. And so it's getting to the time and I'm looking at my watch thinking, I'm not going to make it back from my bail conditions. Oh, well, hopefully they won't even know and we'll just make it through the breaks. So anyway, my mate picks me up. There was another mate in the car also. And all three of us have criminal records. All three of us had been to prison. But at this time, all three of us weren't doing anything wrong except for being in an unregistered car. So we were driving through Coburg and we were going north and the police were going south, and they've seen our car, which was an old Ford Escort. They've seen our car and they've done a U-turn and they've come straight behind us and they've lit the lights up straight away. And little did we know that one of our tail lights was out as well. So we were always going to get pulled over. And so anyway, we get pulled over and I'm like, I'm fucked. Like as it stood right then, I was like already an hour past my curfew. It was like 10 o'clock at night or something like that. And I was already past my curfew, whatever time it was. And I knew I was screwed no matter what. So anyway, we get pulled over. One car rocks up with two people in it, two cops in it. And they proceed to take us out of the car, put us up against the wall. By no force at this stage, like they're being pretty kind actually. And so yeah, we're up against the wall, and so they start asking their names, and so I'm last in the row of people to be asked. I'm third in line, and so the boys are giving their names. And I just give a bodgy name straight away, and they could tell it was a bodgy name. And he's like, "What's your real name, mate?" And I just went, "Laters," and just hit the skids as hard as I could, like fast running, like Usain Bolt sprinting, like I'm telling you. It was absolutely crazy. And I turn around, and the cops are chasing me. I'm like, I thought this was my break free. I'm going to get away. Like, the cops are chasing me. And I will... Like, guys, don't ever run from the police. It's never helps you in the end, I promise you. I don't ever endorse any of my behaviour. I'm just merely giving you guys a run through the stuff that's happened in my life. So, anyhow, I'm running. And as I'm running, like, these guys are yelling out, "You're fucking dead, mate. You're fucking dead when we catch you." So I'm yelling back, well, like I'm going to fucking stop then. And so... like, these guys are, like, serious. They want, like, blood. And I'm like, I could sense it. And I wasn't stopping. And so, anyway, I got to a part in a path where I could see that it was going to end. So I ducked off to the right and ducked into someone's backyard and just started scaling fences. And then next thing you know, like, I could see this big, long fence, and I thought it was like a block of flats or something like that, and it was like a fair way above the shed roof. So I've jumped up on one shed roof to jump into the next backyard shed roof to get up on this wall, which I had to jump, and I got up there. And when I'm up on the wall, I'm looking down and I'm like, whoa, that's a big friggin' drop. So I tried to kind of like scale down and hold, because the walls are like arched like that. And back in the day, they actually used to have glass on them. So this is Pentridge Prison, and the part where I snuck in was D Division. And so anywho, I've on the wall, and I'm trying to like use my arms like as a sling kind of thing to hang down. Anyway, I ended up dropping and kind of hurt my ankle, but not enough to stop me. So I've noticed it was just so dark, and I'm like, yes, they're never going to find me in here. And so anyway, I ran over and kind of went through a little fence bit, and next thing you know, I'm in like this courtyard bit, and in the courtyard it had like chairs and stuff like that, and then there was like a couple of overgrown shrubbery. So I've just dove straight into this shrub. I'm totally covered in bush, right? So like even with the torches, I am 100% confident that they would not have seen me there. So anyway, I'm there and I'm thinking I'm home sweet, and it's been about 10 minutes and I haven't heard a thing. I can't hear them jumping on shed roofs. I can't hear none of that. I can't hear nothing. And then all of a sudden I hear, he's just jumped into Pentridge Prison. And at this stage, I had no idea I was in Pentridge Prison. As soon as they said that, my heart just started pumping. I'm like, I'm never going to get out of here. So I'm in Pentridge Prison. They're like, he's just jumped into Pentridge Prison. We need the dog here now. Get the dogs here now. And we need as many officers as we can. And I'm like, oh my God, what have I done? And so I knew at that stage it was time to get out of the little shrub that I was in and just try and get out of there. But I just had to try and get out of there. So I remembered that I walked through like this little gate thing which brought me out into the first courtyard. So I went back into the first yard, which was the yard where I jumped in. And so like I can see that it's a jail. Beforehand I just thought it was like a block of flats or something like that, easy exit. I'm thinking, I'm fucking out of here. This is awesome. I am gone. Nah, man, I jumped into a fucking prison. Granted, it was not operational for a couple of years, but it was still a prison, barbed wire and shit. Like, I'm in there. And so I remember in that first yard, and then like I can kind of see lights and a bit of action over here, but I can see a break in the fence, and I'm thinking, that's a gate. That's got to be a gate. And so I start shimmying along this wall like din, 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 commando style. And like I'm thinking, yes, like I am home free. Where they said that they thought I was a total opposite yard. So I'm like, yes, I am sweet. I am home free. So I'm shimmying along this wall, and then I've got to go along one more L bend, and then there's the break in the wall, which I'm thinking is a gate at this stage, which was a gate. So anyway, I'm shimmying along, and then I'm let go off the wall, and I have a look, and it is a gate, and the gate's open. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So I just start walking out. I'm knowing damn well that there's footpaths and like houses and shit right around Pentridge Prison. So I'm just thinking, I'm just going to waltz out of here like nothing's wrong, chuck the hoodie on over my head and just stroll out. And then next thing you know, bing, I get lit up by about 5 cop car lights. And they're yelling out, get on the fucking ground, we've got a gun, get on the fucking ground. And I'm like, a gun? You've got a fucking gun? And they're like, get on the ground. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, all right. So like they've like guns pointed at me. They're like 5-10 meters away from me, running at me. So they're yelling at me, and they're stopped at this stage, and they're like, get on your stomach, put your hands on your head, cross your legs and put them up in the air. I'm thinking, fuck me. What, these guys think that I'm like fucking Saddam Hussein or something. They've got the ace of spades here. What's going on? And like, I'm thinking, bloody hell. So I do this, right? And then, so I've got my hands on my head, and I'm looking directly at police headlights, so I can see perfectly. And so I'm looking up, and just as I'm looking up, I see these feet, and it just goes boof and kicks me straight under my chin. You can't see it, but see that there? That's a scar. That's why it's white there. and it split me. It split me open. It nearly knocked me out. I'm telling you, to this day, one of the hardest hits in the head I've ever had, and it got me right on the button too. But it didn't knock me out. And anyway, so like instantly, as you guys know, if you get a nick or something on your head, the blood is splurting out. And back then, there is a high chance I was on drugs at that stage. So the drugs would have been, this blood would have been going everywhere. And so I instantly jump up. I'm like, fuck you, motherfuckers, man. And then, so the dude that kicked me was the dude that was running behind me saying, we're going to kill you, right? So at this stage, my teeth got my tongue. I had blood in my mouth, everything, right? So I'm like, these guys are going to punch my head in. They've just kicked a fucking hole in my head. What do I do, you know? So I just say, and no offense to people that do have HIV or AIDS or anything like that, I just said, I'm HIV positive, get the fuck away from me, and started spitting on the ground, right? And so they started freaking out because, like, I had a white Independent t-shirt on, and I'm telling you, it was like claret blood red in no time. And so the dude that done it started freaking out. They're like, oh, we are screwed. This is what they're saying. We are screwed. The sergeant's on his way down here now. What are we going to say? And I'm like, yeah, yous are fucked. And then, so anyway, the sergeant comes down and he's kind of like, they're all standing around me and I'm like going off and he's like, fucking arrest him. And then, so they arrest me and we get back to the fucking station and like, the sergeant's like, right, we're going to interview. I'm like, fuck off, mate. I'm like, I need medical attention, mate. You guys fucking done this to me. And he's like, what? My guy's done this to you. This is what the sergeant's saying. I'm like, yes, your guys did this to me. And he's like, well, they reckon you done that, jumping the Pentridge wall and got caught on barbed wire. I'm like, mate, I am more likely to get hit by lightning or win Tats Lotto for that to happen. What, am I just hanging there by me fucking chin, am I? I'm like, are you kidding me, mate? Go speak to your mate. I'm telling you, that's what happened. And I said to him, mate, I'm telling you, I don't give a fuck, mate. I'm ringing the Office of Police Integrity right now. I don't give a fuck. I want my phone call, and that's where it's going to. He started freaking out straight away. I'm thinking, I just don't want to breach my bail. At this stage, they still didn't even know my real name. And so he's come back and he said, look, I'm telling you that this is what this is what my officer said's happened. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm holding my fucking spot and I'm not speaking to anyone until the fucking officer, I'm speaking to the OPI. And then, so he's walked out and then that officer's walked in and he's like shirt front of me. He's like, boof. You fucking tell my sergeant that you done that jump in the fence or you're fucked, mate. You don't understand. We're the Coburg police. We fucking kill people and all this crazy shit. I'm like, mate, eat a dick. I ain't saying shit, mate. I'm telling you fucking sergeant what happened, mate. Fuck off. I'm like, what are you going to do, mate? What are you going to do that you haven't already done to me, mate? And I'm like, mate, don't worry. I've got your name entrenched in my head, you know? And then so his sergeant comes back and he's like, what's your name, mate? And I like gave him my name and they figured out that I was on bail. And he was like, look, mate, you're in fucking big trouble. You are on bail for a serious violent offence and you are like fucking like 3 hours away from your home. Like at this stage, by the time I was speaking to them, like nearly 3 hours past my curfew in Melbourne, like I was screwed. And I'm like, mate, I don't give a fuck, mate. I'm pressing charges on your officer that's done this to me. I don't give a fuck. And then, so he's trying to come up with something that he can do so his officers and his fucking station doesn't look bad, you know? So he nicks off. At this stage, they've got the number plates off the car and everything. I didn't know the car was unregistered, and I don't even know if my mate knew if the car was unregistered. But anyway, they've got the number plates and everything. He's come back in with the number plates in his hand. And at this stage, they've also got my other two mates in lockup, right? So at this stage, they've got them as well. And so he's come in with the number plates in his hand. And he said, look, mate, I'm telling you, I'm going to give you the offer of your lifetime. I am going to let you go tonight if you do not press charges on my officer. Because I knew, mate, it wouldn't matter. There would have been at least one officer that would have fucking stood up for what was right in that pack and seen what was happening. They knew they were screwed, mate. And, like, I kind of wish I had a sued him, mate. I would have got heaps of money. Look at that scar. And then, so, anyway, he goes, I'm going to let you go and you're not going to get any charges. We're not going to breach your bail. You can walk out of here right now. I said, no deal, mate. No dice. He goes, what? What do you mean? And I go, mate, my two mates have got to go too. I don't give a shit, mate. None of them are getting charged with nothing. I don't care. That's the deal, mate. Went out, came back in, and he's like, yep, mate, fucking oath. He goes, if you don't charge my officer, you can all walk right now. And, yeah, I was like, yeah, mad. And there's a bit of a backstory to that. One of my mates stayed in there for a little bit longer than he should have. So me and my other mate were standing out there going, what the fuck? Why is he even in there for an hour longer than he's supposed to be? Fucking having a chin wag or whatnot. But anyway, they let us go. And, like, I couldn't fucking believe it. And then I knew when I got home, the girlfriend I had at the time was pissed off at me for being fucking out late. So I can't even remember the story we came up with. We came up with this big bullshit lie about what happened to my chin and how we hadn't been arrested and all this fucking shit. And man, that was absolutely crazy. That was the time I jumped into Pentridge Prison running from the police. Absolute dickhead move, I know. That's how it went down, guys. This has been Big Biff's Life of Mayhem. Thanks for joining. You guys are awesome. I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.